Welcome to another Southern California Prep Insider Football Podcast. Tommy and Shotgun here with you on your internet. We've got Jessica at Temecula Valley. We've got Connor at Chaminade. We have Beverly Pham at Mission Viejo. So we'll get to all that and much, much more. But as always, we've got to start with our top 10s. But first of all, Shotgun, how you feeling personally? You doing okay? You know, weather nice around LA. Are we good?
Getting some big games going. You know, it's a fun time in the season. You know, you get these good non-conference, non-league matchups going right now. So I'm really excited right now.
All right, let's take a look at your top 10, and then we'll reveal the Southern California Prep Insider collective top 10.
Not too much change in the back end. I still got 10. I got Westlake there. They beat San Marcos, Mission Hills 28-13. You know, their defense really did it. They had 2 interception returns for touchdowns, a safety. Gabriel Floyd, their linebacker, even returned a kickoff for a score. But they did get some bad news that Sherrell Vaughn's going to be ruled ineligible for the season. Westlake is appealing that, but they're going to stay at 10 for now. Number 9, Upland, they did not play. They were off this past week, but they're going to stay there. Number 8, Orange Lutheran slips down, you know, after their loss to Centennial. Looked great in the first half, but couldn't hold on in the second half. Centennial, look at this team. We're going to see where they're at in the rankings a little bit later, though. Number 7, Cajon moves up. They beat Paloma Valley 48-7. Oaks Christian at number 6. They move up one spot after beating Edison 38-7. Jay Sarah's at number 5. They put a hurting on Calabasas on the road, 49-21. You know, that team just keeps on performing well, and then doing it on the road was another nice little added bonus. Zamaje Duncan picked off Calabasas' first pass, took it to back 39 yards for a touchdown, kind of set the tone. Let them take it from there. The offense put up a bunch of points. Number 4, Mission Viejo, they beat Santa Margarita 30-20. They've now won 6 of their last 7 against Trinity Leagues. Not even teams in the Trinity League can say that, except for modern day right. Bosco, I think, has won 6 of their last 7 too. But, you know, that's what company at Mission Viejo. Number 3, I've got Bosco. I actually slide them down a spot. I know they're beat up on Bakersfield Garces 56-0, but I'm sliding them down a spot because I couldn't put Modern Day below them because Modern Day went on the road and beat up on Bishop Gorman 42-0 on national TV. You know, that's something that doesn't happen. You know, Bishop Gorman hadn't been shut out, I think, in like 10 or 11 years, and they went out and just on them, you know, 34-yard Houdini run on 4th down to kind of get the offense going, and he threw for 4 touchdowns. Only 10 of 13 passing, still threw for 252 yards. Sean Dollars had 3 touchdowns, including 49 and 71-yard touchdown catches and a 55-yard TD run. And Elias Ricks with the INT on the final play to get the shutout. He actually took it back to the house. It was negated by penalty, or that 42 would have been 49-0. But I put Modern Day number 2 because of the ineligible player. They're actually 1-1. And I just thought Centennial, I was super impressed with them. I moved them up to number 1. Obviously,
wow.
A lot of change potential because of those teams, you know, that they're going to be playing each other. And there's going to be some tough games. But Centennial, super impressed with it. Back-to-back wins over Chandler and Orange Lutheran. You know, they scored 28 points in a row to end that game. The defense made some key adjustments and was able to shut down the Helinski to Ford connection in the second half. Outscored them 35-7 in the second half. You know, and Gary Bryant was bottled up until he took a punt return back to the house. You know, and Octavio Cortez, 24 carries, 118 yards, touchdown. I was really impressed with Centennial, the way that they were, you know, down at halftime, but, you know, found a way to rally in the second half, made some adjustments, and I'm pushing them up to number 1 right now. Now, obviously, some big games. Modern Day's got IMG, you know, coming up, so potential for teams to move back up.
All right, so there's your top 10. I will give you the Southern California Prep Insider collective top 10. Number 10, Gardena Sarah, getting into the top 10 for the first time this year. Number 9 is Upland. 8, Jay Sarah. 7, Cajon. 6, Mission Viejo, who we'll hear from later. 5, Oaks Christian. 4, Orange Lutheran took that loss, but didn't drop that much in our book because how much respect we have for Centennial. Centennial's number 3. Modern Day number 2, and number 1 is Bosco. I'm going to talk about them when I get to my game balls because they had a very impressive game this weekend up in Bakersfield. But a personal note for me, one of the biggest faux pas of my career, and you'll appreciate this because I'm just going to give, you know, all the viewers a little bit of behind the curtain type thing. All of us know how to do everything, right? We're all doing the videos, the social media, all that kind of stuff. You know, are you with me, Shotgun?
Yeah.
So Kyle Ford's first touchdown, I'm in perfect position for it. Get it, put it on the Instagram story. Everything's cool. Second touchdown, I see him lined up wider. It looks like he's going to get the ball right in my lap again, like right in the corner of the end zone. I'm holding the nice camera. I'm holding the phone. I'm having a moment here where I can't figure out what's more important, to get the good footage of it or get it on social media right away. Ball snap before I can make a decision. Kyle catches it over somebody's head, mosses him, touchdown, literally within 5 feet of me, and I have zero footage of it. So,
Well, yeah, I did get a text from you just telling me that Kyle Ford is a beast after that play. So at least you got to send out the message to someone.
yeah, missed the whole entire thing. And if you watch other people's highlights, you'll see a guy in a blue shirt holding a phone and a camera in either hand and throwing his hands up in the air like, really? Wow. So that low point. So if we were giving out anti-game balls, I will take one for missing that moment. I'm sorry, Kyle. Again, Orange Lutheran, yes, they lost, but I was very impressed by the Helinski-Ford combo. I mean, when you're playing Orange Lutheran, you're trying to shut him down. He still had 12 catches, something like that. I'll talk about him a little bit later. But great game for him. So, Shotgun, you have a million game balls, so we're going to sandwich it. We're going to have you go first. I'll take the little, the ice cream sandwich in the middle, and you can take the other side. Is that fine?
Yeah, that sounds good. When I run out of breath, I'll pitch it back over to you.
When you pass out, I'll jump in.
Exactly. Let's start with Garden Grove. Mike Carrillo, 21 carries, 201 yards, and a 21-18 win over Orange. Anthony Munoz at Western continues to throw for big yardage. They actually lost to Huntington Beach 48-38, but he threw for 401 yards and 4 TDs, including 13 catches, 152 yards, and a touchdown to Kane Savage. Great name, by the way. Kane Savage. Love it. Saw that kid in the summer. I was just enamored with his name off the top. Centuries, David Tapia, could be either one of them. He only got 6 carries in the game. He took it for 229 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's efficiency right there. They won 48-6 over Maywood CES. His teammate Flores had 15 tackles and 3 sacks. Pretty good job on the defensive end too. Estencia's Trevor Pacheco, 31 carries, 251 yards, 3 TDs, and a 34-21 win. And then also Guillermo Meza from Anaheim, similar numbers, 24 carries, 237 yards, and 3 TDs, and a 33-13 win. So he was a little bit more efficient there. How about Aliso Niguel's Joe Orsler? The senior defensive end deflected a 2-point conversion pass attempt with 39 seconds left to get the 28-27 win over Sunny Hills. It became kind of a theme, people going for 2 at the end of the game, trying to get that win.
I love it. You want to talk about San Clemente or no?
Oh, I'm going to bring it up in just a second, but I'll let you go for it. You go for it.
No, you go for it. You go for it. I'll jump in after you're done. I want to hear what you say first.
We'll get to San Clemente in just a second. A couple other teams that went for it. REV, Redland East Valley. Miles Herrera connected with Brandon Wells in a 2-point conversion to beat La Habra 22-21 in overtime. Went for it, got the score, decided to go for it. Norte Vista also went for 2 late. They scored 15 points in the final 4 minutes, and they beat Sultana 22-21. Reseda was also down by 2 TDs at one point. They went for a 2-point conversion with QB Daniel Rhodes breaking 4 tackles to get in and earn the 29-28 win over El Camino Real. And then you talk about San Clemente. Brandon Costello was on my top performers, 13-17 efficient day, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also ran for 2 touchdowns, but they took the 47-45 loss to Torrey Pines.
Yeah, and Torrey Pines went for 2 to go for the win and didn't get it. Got the onside kick and kicked the field goal with they had 20 seconds to get in position. It was a crazy game. I will say this: I was at Torrey Pines yesterday as part of the San Diego coverage, and they could not have said better things about Costello as a quarterback, and then a handful of other players on that team too. They were very impressed with San Clemente, and they're very happy, obviously, to get that win. But that program has a lot of respect for San Clemente, and I think that should be a rivalry that should be going on a lot, because San Clemente and northern San Diego, not that far away. San Clemente basically might as well be San Diego. But they get another chance against the San Diego team this week when they're going to play La Costa Canyon. It's another good San Diego team, but it'll be good redemption for San Clemente. It's actually the team that they beat this weekend. It's their biggest rival. So, they're pretty similar teams. So that's all I got to say about that. San Clemente, good luck this weekend. Shotgun, keep going.
Yeah, Costello, the Oklahoma State commit, really turning some heads this year, I think. Theo Gehring from Vista Murrieta, 30 carries, 207 yards, including a 50-yard TD with 5 minutes to go to put the game out of reach in a 38-35 win over Los Alamitos. How about Kennedy's running back linebacker, Ray Aldapa, 18 carries, 219 yards, including a 42-yard run for his 3rd touchdown to seal the game after he took a screen pass 67 yards to set up the winning score. And just to close the game out, he added an interception just to finish the game off. They were down and with, I think, 3 or 4 minutes left to go, and they ended up winning 40-29 over Artesia. Get big ups to Aldapa, coming up with a clutch performance in the last 5 minutes of the game. I'm going to pass it over to you, let you get some in.
All right, you can get your breath in. I will add this too. Connor Morissette, when we get to him, I'm out in Chaminade. He's got a couple game balls too, so if you don't hear your name, wait for Connor because he's got 2 more. Here we go for mine. I've got Zachary Bitterman starting in Etowanda, 8 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown, beating in their win over Miriam Mesa. Another great thing about him, he's a long snapper. So versatile kid. Don't see that
I
too
love
often.
those kids can do it all.
Yeah, can do it all. Next, I have got Xavier Ugorji from Rancho Verde, 225 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in their win over Santiago. Next, I said I was going to mention him. St. John Bosco's defense, shotgun, 9 total yards allowed.
I mean,
9.
I had it as 10, but that's still pretty good. 9 or 10.
Don't take away the single digits from them, shotgun. I'm gonna stick with 9. Given that is very, very impressive. Defense wins ball games. I mean, yeah, the offense is cool, but that is an unbelievable stat there. Achille Arnold, Mission Viejo, 3 interceptions in their win against Santa Margarita. And then another guy with 3 interceptions was Kawan Markham from Long Beach Poly. He had 3 interceptions, but he also returned all 3 of them for touchdowns. That is a Long Beach Poly record. Long Beach Poly, very storied program. Anytime you can set any sort of record, no matter how obscure like this one, it's a good day.
Yeah, and when you take 3 back, the defense scored 4 touchdowns in that game. The offense didn't even score, I don't think, in their win over Narbonne.
Yeah,
that was
it's a bizarre box score when you look at it because the game's a blowout and you try and look for the offensive stats and there's just nothing there. All the touchdowns were on defense.
Speaking of defense, how about the Aquinas defense shutting out Kaiser 9-0 and scoring more points than the offense as Jeremiah Edmonds had a pick 6 to seal the game. So speaking of defense, give it up to Aquinas there. Diamond Ranch, they actually did it with special teams. They blocked a field goal in the final minute to beat Chino Hills 28-27. How about Naco Logan from Ocean View? 3 catches, 65 yards. But he had 3 touchdowns, all 3 of them going for scores. And he had an interception on defense in their 41-7 win over Los Amigos. Those guys can still be friends with you after the game because they're your amigos.
I knew that was coming.
Jalen Johnson from Roosevelt, 7 catches, 212 yards, and 3 touchdowns in a 48-21 win over Glendora. How about Ty McCullough? Rancho Verde, 7 catches, 147 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And took overtime, but father-bested son as Steve Randall's Colony team beat son Justin Randall's Carter team 14-6. Fun little family matchup there.
Have fun Thanksgiving, guys.
Exactly. At least they almost tied. I know. Steve's wife and Justin's mom wanted the game to end in a tie. It was almost there. They went to overtime.
Did she have one of those? I don't know if you know this. Did she have one of those half and half uniforms?
I know that there was a group of family members that had T-shirts. I'm assuming that's what it was. One of the house divided type of T-shirt. Perfect. So they were ready for that game. Really fun matchup there. How about Jamal Moorfield from Rialto? 147 yards rushing, 2 TDs, but also 12 tackles on defense. 38-17 win over La Sierra. Strong Matele from Mayfair, 4 TDs. He had 7 carries, but he had 4 TDs. So if you do that, then give the guy the ball a little bit more. Maybe he only had 92 yards because you just give him the ball for the score. Win over California. How about Chris Venegas from Warren? He's now over 4,000 career yards passing. Congratulations, Chris. He went 17 for 22, 342 yards and 4 TDs in a 49-14 win. Zaquan Irby from Ganesha. Looking at Max Preps, they keep the rankings for national and everything. He's currently leading. Now, not every team submits their stats like they should on Max Preps, but currently Zaquan Irby leading the nation in rushing after a 410-yard rushing performance and 4 TDs. He had 4 TDs last week. He had over 300 yards rushing there. He's almost at 700 yards for the season, I believe it is. So I think he had 287 actually last week. So he's crushing it out there for Ganesha.
And he had a bunch of rushing yards last year. So if you look at last year's national leaders, he's up there too. So no surprise, man. He has been killing it out there.
Yeah, he's a beast out there. How about Christian Dixon, a young kid, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns as well, 125 yards for Diamond Ranch. Terrence Simon Jr. for Cathedral, the game I was at last weekend, 20 carries, 117 yards, 3 touchdowns. Big body guy. Once he gets going, he's got some quickness and some moves, though. You don't think you would see that out of the big body that he has. How about Bishop Alamany's Miller Moss, the quarterback, another young guy, sophomore, 23 of 30, 353 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and a 33-3 win over Charter Oak. A lot of threes in that stat line right there. But I like Miller Moss, young kid. I liked him when I saw him at a camp this summer. Just everything comes off the fingertips, really nice for them. Jordan Wilmore from Lawndale. They upset Sierra Canyon 25-22, all because of him, basically. He had 272 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. His touchdowns including an 80-yarder and a 99-yarder. I don't know if you know this, Tommy, but you can't get any longer than a 99-yard rushing touchdown.
You cannot. No, I'm trying to think. Nope, can't.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Congratulations to Jordan Wilmore on that one. That at least ties a school record.
Or
and
the world record. The world
and
record.
a world record.
Yes.
Yeah, just all the records. At least ties them all. How about Nehemiah Thompson, San Fernando, 10 tackles, a sack, an interception. He rushed for 2 touchdowns. He caught another one. That man did it all. 42-27 win for San Fernando over Canyon thanks to Nehemiah. Great game there. And then JP Andrade from Bonita, 26-35, 427 yards passing, 6 touchdowns in a win over Diamond Bar. I was going to throw Temecula Valley into my top performers, but instead I'm going to throw it to Jessica Lucera, who's got more on TV.
Yeah, Jessica, take it away with the Golden Bears.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy. I'm here at Temecula Valley where I was able to speak with the new head coach here, Coach Esposito. Now, he was really brought in to help with the rebuilding of the program here. They hadn't won a game in 18 games since 2016. Now, luckily, it seems like his plan seems to be working. He's getting off to a great start. They did win their game on Friday against Elsinore, so let's take a look and see what he had to say. Coach Espo, TV really brought you in because they're focusing on sort of rebuilding the program. It's been a while since they got their win back in 2016. It was about 17 or 18 games since then, but you've sort of become used to this role. You went and coached at Paloma Valley, Ramona, Linfield, and Ramona went 0-22 before you came in, and then you ended up coaching them to CIF semifinals. So that's an accomplishment right there. When I talked to you last, you said they really needed to get that first win in order for them to get that ball rolling, and they were able to do so on Friday. They got the win. How are you feeling after that?
Well, I think, again, it was a huge win. It's something that any program, when you're trying to turn it around, you've put in so much time and work, and then you get in that first game, and if it doesn't work, doubt starts creeping in. So really it comes down to between the ears and get that confidence going. And so was there some pressure in there? Just the fact that you just really hope the kids put it together and got that first win.
Have you noticed any sort of change with how they're acting, with any sort of confidence out there?
Well, I mean, I started seeing that in the second half. We had a good halftime discussion, talked about what we need to do, came out second half and really played well. And since I seen them out here today, you know, I think they're walking around understanding that the process, we promised them how this process would work, and it has so far, first game, and now it's taking it to a whole nother level and continuing that.
Who were some players that really stood out in Friday's game?
Well, of course, Easton Gibbs. I mean, Easton had a heck of a game. Again, he started out a little bit shaky. He was tight, you know. He was trying to do things. He started one freshman game at quarterback and has never played quarterback since, or probably never will after this year. You know, so he had to get himself together, and I'm sure a bunch of the kids were internally trying to fight off the demons. And but he pulled it together, and, you know, he threw 3 touchdown passes and ran for 2, which is kind of what we expected, and he ended up being unbelievable. And there was a lot of other guys did a lot of great things. The defense as a whole played lights out. Our 2 defensive ends, our backers. I mean, it was just a complete win, and that's how you want it. You don't want everything relying on one guy, right. You know. And yes, Easton was the guy, but there was a lot of help out there too.
So it was just a great game overall. Now, moving on to the Southwestern League, as always, a very tough league to be in. You know, Murrieta Valley, they got their first loss against Santiago. They have a game coming up against Cajon, which is not going to be an easy game right there. Great Oak, 1-1. Vista Murrieta, they barely walked away with the win, 38-35, and then Chaparral is so far 2-0. So they're doing pretty well. What are your thoughts on the Southwestern League so far? Well,
the Southwestern League is one of the top leagues in the state of California. There's no doubt about it, top to bottom, and we're just hoping that we can be in that mix of being considered one of the tougher teams. You know, so that's going to take some time and work. But the Southwest League is strong. They expect to be strong. They play that way. There's tremendous athletes here in the Temecula Valley, Murrieta Valley area, and the coaching in the league is outstanding. And, you know, for competitors such as myself, to be able to come back into the league like I was years ago, but to come back here at Temecula into that league, you know, if you're a competitor, this is where you want to be. And I'm excited about it.
And what are you guys going to be working on? You have a game against West Valley this Friday. What are you really going to be working on towards that, moving towards that game?
Our big thing right now is eliminating all the mistakes, mentally, physically, taking care of us. We got that monkey off our backs as far as how the wins go and all that. That's fantastic. but we really need to take the next level and really work on the details, and just get ourselves better, and we'll take care of it from there.
And just one last question. What can the fans really expect from you guys this year?
An exciting offense, and so far an exciting defense. So I would say excitement. I think this group can bring that, and you never know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Now, once again, TV is facing off against West Valley this Friday, so I'm expecting a win out of them right there. They will be led by Easton Gibbs once again, so that should be fun to watch. Another game that I am really looking forward to is Merida Valley facing off against Cajon this Friday. Now, as we know, they did lose in their first game against Santiago. Their next game is against Cajon. They really don't have an easy schedule, but they're really going to have to go out there and prove themselves if they want to get this win. That should be a great watch right there. Now, one last team that I really want to highlight is Merida Mesa. Now, they went out there against Etiwanda on Saturday, and they did lose. But this Friday, they're facing off against Corona, so I'm really expecting a win out of them. Should be nice to even up their record right there. That's all for me. Back to you, Tommy.
First win in a while. It's got to feel good, Shotgun.
Yeah, congratulations to them. It's been 23 months. Awesome to get off to a 1-0 start, and probably hadn't had a winning record in a while there.
Yeah, exactly. 1-0. They're literally undefeated this year, so good for them. We'll now go to Connor. Again, I mentioned Connor's going to have some game balls at the end of his little segment here with Chaminade. So, Connor, let us know who your game balls are after you let us know a little bit more about Chaminade.
Thank you, Tommy. I'm here at Chaminade High School, where the Eagles are off to a 1-1 start so far this year. They lost to Oaks Christian and beat Paraclete last week. The big talking point surrounding Chaminade, it's the tough schedule. They have many high-profile matchups like the one they started the season with against Oaks Christian. Coming up next, they travel to San Diego to play Mission Hills, and then from there, they have Folsom on the schedule, a team from Northern California who won a state title a year ago. After that, it's St. John Bosco, one of the best teams in the country, if not the best. It doesn't really get easier for them here coming up in the next few weeks. I talked to Ryan Stevens, the quarterback, and he told me we're Chaminade football. We're not afraid of anyone, and he's really excited to see how this year plays out.
We just want to be the best team that we can be, and to be the best, you got to play the best. So we want to schedule the hardest teams in the area and just play tough competition.
I remember when the schedule came out, your teammate Blake Anzelatis, he tweeted out, "I'm happy with the schedule. This is who we want to play. This is what we're trying to do." And just that attitude, is that from everyone, from Blake, who's one of the top players on the team, does that attitude kind of go from him all the way down, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say it goes for our entire team. We all want to play tough schedules. We all want to be the best. So I feel like if we just play the best competition, we play Division I, which is very hard. So it's just getting us ready for the playoffs and for our league. So it's just what our team does.
1-1 on the year, just beat Paraclete. Can you take me through that game and some of the highlights?
One of the highlights, they all-out blitz, and I got the ball out to Blake on a low snap, and it was a good play. We scored on that play, and then Alex Okabito had like 3 great rushing touchdowns, and John had 1 too. So it was a really good game by our offense, and our defense almost shut them out. So everybody played great, so we're just picking everything up and just getting ready for Mission Hills.
How would you assess where your team's at through 2 weeks?
I think we're getting better. That's all we need. We focus on the little mistakes, and after this big win, we were just focusing on the little errors that we had in the game that couldn't make us win the game faster and just run our offense more efficiently.
What are some things that you think this group does well so far?
Our defense is very fast at getting and rallying up to the tackle, rallying up to the ball, and our offense is really intelligent and knows how to make the certain reads that we need to make, and our receivers are finding windows behind the different linebackers, so it's nice for me.
And then you mentioned small improvements, small little tweaks you can make. What are some things you think are easy fixes that you guys will get right by the end of the year?
Yeah, we worked on a lot with a scramble drill after Oaks Christian because I had to scramble a lot. So we worked on that in the game, and then we actually performed it against Paraclete. So we're doing well, and we're being successful in that area of just working on quick twitch footwork and getting outside and extending plays.
I know Coach Croson kind of worked you guys today, but how much fun is it playing for a legendary coach like him?
Oh, it's everything. I laugh with him all the time. I've been on varsity with him for 3 years, and it started off a little rough, but now it's fun with him being a senior and just playing for him. And there's never a dull moment with him.
Ryan, the last question for you. I know you want to get into engineering. You got some really high-profile schools on your list. How come that's something you want to get into? I could never imagine that.
It's just how my mind works and how I just want everything to be in a systematic way is just how I want it to be. So like I'm looking for a top engineering school, top business school that I can move on in my academic career.
So So that's Ryan Stevens from Chaminade. Not only a great quarterback, but a great mind as well. Ryan, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go.
So there's your update from Chaminade. As for the rest of the northern part of the southern section, I want to give out a few game balls to some top performers from Week 1. First game ball goes to Cerro Gardena quarterback Doug Brumfield, who helped lead his team to a victory up north against Cerro San Mateo. He threw for over 300 yards, had 4 touchdowns, really did it all at quarterback in that game for Cerro Gardena. Remember, he's only a junior, only has 1 offer right now to Utah. I think we're going to see that number increase as the season goes on. Another game ball goes to Ryan Camacho up there at West Ranch. He was instrumental in helping West Ranch take down Burroughs by 54-0. That was the score. It was an ugly one up there in Valencia, but Ryan did it all. He rushed for 2 touchdowns, had a pick 6, jack of all trades for West Ranch in that game, and I expect him to really have a big season this year. And then my final game ball goes to Kai Rojas over at St. Bonaventure. He helped lead his team to a win over Bishop Diego. He had over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown, over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown, and he also had an interception. Played a little bit of quarterback for St. Bonaventure last year. Now he's doing a bit of everything. So Kai Rojas, he gets a game ball from me along with Ryan Camacho and Doug Brumfield. The one game I want to pick this week in the northern part of the southern section, Bishop Amat, J. Sarah. I have J. Sarah beating Bishop Amat on the road after their big win over Calabasas. I like to pick one game per week on this podcast. There's my little insight as to who will win this week. Tommy, there's the update from the northern part of the southern section. Back to you.
Shotgun, what do you think about those guys?
You know, Ryan Stevens that Connor talked to, he's a rare 4-year quarterback. He's been there all 4 years. You know, Chaminade, the question with them was replacing Andrew Van Buren, their running back. You know, he brings, Alex Beto brings a little bit different style than Van Buren, who is a big bruiser. And I agree with Connor about J. Sarah beating Amat this week. Not a game we're picking, but I agree. I think J. Sarah wins that one as well.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of J. Sarah. I've seen them play a couple times this year. They're very impressive. Our final field reporter, we're going to go to Beverly Pham now, who's out at Mission Viejo. What's up with the Diablos?
Thanks, Tommy. This past week in the Trinity League, we saw 2 shutout games. One of them was Bosco versus Garces Memorial in Bakersfield. The Braves shut out Garces Memorial 56-0. The other was Mater Dei at Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. The Monarchs held Bishop Gorman to 42-0, and this was the first time in 12 years that Bishop Gorman has been shut out. The last time this happened was September of 2006. And we also saw 2 games in which the top public schools in the area defeated Trinity League teams. That would be Orange Lutheran versus Centennial. The Huskies won 45-28, as well as Santa Margarita at Mission Viejo. The Diablos won 30-20. And today I'm back here at Mission Viejo to catch up with head coach Chad Johnson, who's in his first year as head coach of the Diablos, but he's certainly no stranger to the area. Let's hear what he has to say. Thank you so much for joining us today, Coach.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
You were the former offensive coordinator at Bosco, and now it's your first year here as head coach at Mission Viejo. How has the experience been so far?
Awesome. You know, this is where I'm from. I'm El Toro graduate of 1997. In fact, I actually played for some of the coaches that I have on staff. And then I coached at Chibico Hills from 2001 to 2010. So, you know, I'm from here, and I'm from this area, Mission Viejo, El Toro kid. And I just bought a house up the street, so I'm kind of back home and really excited to be back.
Do you feel a lot of pressure being the replacement for Bob Johnson?
I think I feel a lot of pressure, but I put pressure on myself no matter where I am. You know, even if I was at a school that no one ever heard of, I would put pressure on myself. That's just the way I am, and that's what I've always been. I put a lot of pressure on myself when I was the offense coordinator at Bosco. I put a ton of pressure on myself when I was offense coordinator at Chibico High School. Basically, we try to be as good as we can be at everything that we do, and we put pressure on ourselves to accomplish that.
So coming off a big win against Santa Margarita last week and continuing Mission Viejo's streak of defeating Trinity League teams, how do you think that speaks to the level of playing here at Mission Viejo as a public school?
Well, I've said this before. I think there's 3 public schools around that can compete with the private schools. And I think we're one of the 3. The other 2 being Corona Centennial and Long Beach Poly, that have historically done this. Mission has historically done this during Coach Johnson's tenure, and even before that. Corona Centennial and what Coach Logan has done is an amazing job. He's been able to beat the Trinity League teams. They just beat Orange Lutheran last week. And then Long Beach Poly, not recently, but back in the day, certainly. A few years back, Long Beach Poly was really good and played the Trinity Leagues really tough and had, battle after battle with Modern Day and the whole nine. So, yeah, I think we're one of the only 3 public schools that can do so. And we're going to keep on doing it and trying to compete with the best.
How does it feel to work with your quarterback, Joey, again?
Amazing. I mean, when I was at Bosco, I actually drove Joey Young to school every day. So we drove together about an hour each way for 2 years, and we had great conversations, talked about all kinds of stuff other than football. And he's, kind of like a second son, if you will, and I love him to death. And it's been such a great experience for me, not only because he's a great quarterback, but he's an even better kid. Was raised by a great, family. Mom, dad done a great job with him, and he's a special kid with high character and wants to be really good, and it's a pleasure to work with.
What do you think makes him special and stand out from other quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some really good ones, and he reminds me a lot of Josh Rosen mentally. Meaning, Josh was so intelligent and so smart and so good on a board with a talking football board interview, whatever you want to call it. And Joey's the same way. Joey really likes to know every little detail about it, what the defensive line are doing, what the linebackers doing, what the secondary is doing, how they're coached, what their reads are. And then if they do this, I do that. And he just loves the chess game. And he's just a football junkie. I think that, he goes home and after he watches our practice, he probably jumps on Madden for 2 hours and plays, more football. He's a junkie. We both share the love for Peyton Manning, both of our favorite quarterbacks. So, we have a lot in common, get along well, and kind of see it the same way, the game of football the same way, and I think that's why we flourish together.
How would you describe your coaching style, and what is your vision for this team?
My coaching style is definitely probably I guess new school, compared to the old school. We want to meet the kids where they're at. We want a preventative approach, be proactive with them. If these kids like, a certain music or even a certain singer, rapper, whatever, we like them. We want to get to know them off the field. It's more than football for us. We don't believe in, kind of, screaming and yelling and just being belligerent at kids. We want to coach them up, coach them hard, but we also want them to know that, we care about them. I think kids don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And that's definitely kind of my coaching philosophy. It doesn't matter who we're playing. We're going to prepare the same way. So it doesn't really matter. When we were at Bosco, it didn't matter if we were playing Bishop Gorman on ESPN, #1 team in the country, we were playing St. Thomas Aquinas, or we were playing a preseason game that we probably knew we were going to beat by 50. We prepared the exact same way, respected our opponent, but feared no one, and tried to get after everyone as best we could.
Thank you so much, Coach, and we wish you the best of luck the rest of this season.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next week, we have Bosco versus Mililani, Orange Lutheran versus Vista Murrieta, J. Sarah at Bishop Amat, Mater Dei at La Mirada, Santa Margarita versus Cherry Creek, and Servite is on a bye week. Back to you, Tommy.
All right, Shaka, you kind of mentioned it, Mission Viejo having a good record against some of these Trinity League teams. They're public school, kind of a rarity. How impressive are the Diablos?
They've been able to win. It didn't matter who they've faced up against. The fact that they've been so consistent, and you see that the tradition is carrying over from Bob Johnson to now, Coach Johnson, Chad Johnson now taking over for not related, though. I know every time I see a Mission Viejo story, they have to put not related in parentheses just because you think immediately, wait, if there's a Johnson, maybe they might be, but no.
And he does not go by Ocho Cinco either. Different guy.
Wow, that's surprising. I probably, once he gets to 85 wins, they should get him an Ocho Cinco jersey.
That'd be unbelievable, actually. That's a very good idea. Pat, you should take that up with somebody. Get in on that. Get the royalties.
But speaking of Mission Viejo, we're going to talk about them a little bit in our picks, right?
Yeah, we are. Let's get to these picks again. These are all picks or games you can find on the Fox Sports Go app, so you can watch them along with picking. And then the last game that we're going to mention is the TV game that'll be on Fox Sports Prime Ticket at 7:30 p.m. following the best show in the history of TV shows, Southern California Prep Insider, which will start at 7 o'clock on Fox Sports Prime Ticket, so make sure to watch it. First game, Vista Murrieta at Orange Lutheran. We talked about them a little bit. Shotgun, who do you like?
Vista Murrieta beat Los Alamitos 38-35 in their opener, but they're facing a much different opponent in Orange Lutheran this week, and I think the Orange Lutheran bounced back. I mean, Ryan Helinski, you talked about it, he was unreal in the first half. The touch was incredible. He finished 27 of 34, 322 yards and 3 touchdowns, including 13 for 160 for Kyle Ford, like you talked about, and 2 TDs. Just beasting over people. I think they bounced back. They didn't make the adjustments as well as Centennial did. So I think that they're going to come out fired up and ready to beat Vista Murrieta. So I got Orange Lutheran winning.
Yeah, I agree. I got Orange Lutheran too. Centennial, I've seen them play twice now in the first 2 games. Have really impressed me. I mean, in both times. I mean, don't get me wrong. They have great athletes on the field, but both times when you watch the warm-ups, you think this might not be so hot for the Huskies. But both games, they're just a tough football team. They hang in there. At halftime, I thought this was Orange Lutheran's game. No question, but these kids do not give up. They have heart, something you can't measure, something you can't see with your own eyes. You have to watch throughout the game. I am so impressed with Centennial this year. They won me over, man. I can't ever pick against them. So that loss for Orange Lutheran, to me, not that big of a deal. They played a really good team. I like them over Vista Murrieta. Next, St. John Bosco taking on Mililani from Hawaii. I think I said that right.
You did say it correctly. However, let's go back to the Centennial real quick. You won't pick against them, but you guys don't have them ranked at the top. That's why they moved up. So impressive for me. But let's get to Hawaii and Mililani. They're 3-0, but Kamahama Kapalama is a little bit different than St. John Bosco. Actually Kamahamalaha. I almost got it right the second time. I got it right the first time. It's actually near where my nieces live in Hawaii. I've been getting updates on the Hawaii teams from them. They got a good quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. He's committed to Army. They have a linebacker committed to Hawaii, but they're facing off a much different beast when they come face St. John Bosco. And the trip to the mainland is always a little bit difficult for teams. The adjustment period and getting your body used to it. And St. John Bosco, they're outscoring opponents 105-0. And they outgained Garces 410 to, well, you said 9, I said 10, but
I'm going to keep it at 9. I will die on that hill. I'm saying 9.
400-yard difference there. So the defense has been great. Offense, obviously, you got DJ Uolele, the highly ranked 2020 quarterback. He threw for 3 touchdowns last week. He also ran for 72 yards, so on a little bit different thing there. Chris Hudson, highly rated 2020 wide receiver, 2 touchdowns catches there. I got St. John Bosco running away with this one.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into it. I'm going to take Bosco again. And Bosco's a team I'm not going to pick against really either. They are so good. They are so good. So I can't wait till you get into the Trinity League and play some of those teams right now. I've got Bosco next. La Habra at Mission Viejo, a team we talked about a little bit earlier.
Now, La Habra, Clark Phillips III has done it on both sides of the ball. I think he had 3 touchdown catches for them this week. He's more highly regarded on the defensive side. He had 3 pick sixes last year as well in a game. But they're off to an 0-2 start with 2 close losses, including the overtime one. I think it's going to be 0-3 because I don't think they're going to be able to go into Mission Viejo and beat them. Joey Yellen, Beverly talked about him with Coach Johnson. He's completing 71% of his passes after throwing for 371 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. And Achille Arnold, you talked about 3 interceptions. He also had 10 catches, 104 yards, a TD. He had 2 punt returns for 77 yards. He could have had 2 pick sixes, but both were called back for holding. He had a 60 and 69 yarder. They were both called back. He also had a 96-yard pick six in the first game. That kid is doing it all. He might be the top player in Southern California so far this season.
Yeah, you wonder how you're going to replace Elijah Griffin? There you go. I've got Mission Viejo as well. Joey Yellen's stats so far this season: 641 yards and 5 touchdowns in the first 2 games. Viejo's looked really, really impressive. I mean, we mentioned it. They can compete with anybody. I'll say that they'll compete with anybody. They will not find themselves in a game where they're wildly outmatched. So I've got Mission Viejo next. Long Beach Poly at Los Alamitos.
This one, Los Alamitos, like we said, lost their opener at Vista Murrieta. I think that Long Beach Poly's defense has been so good. You talked about the 4 touchdowns they scored. That I'm going to go with Long Beach Poly in this one, especially if the Keon and Kewan duo of the twins, the Markham twins, have another big night. Guys will win that one.
I'm going to agree. I want to mention one kid, though, for Los Al. Keanu Norman, one of the best athletes in the Sunset League, one of the running backs. He's a great player, someone fun to watch. But, I mean, dude, Long Beach Poly, they're good. And another guy in the secondary, Alex Austin at cornerback, is going to be playing Division I at Oregon State. Elijah Juarez at linebacker is going to be a Division I guy as well. That defense is just stacked. I think this will be a close game because I think Los Al, has a lot in the tank. But I've got Long Beach Poly next. This is the TV game. This is the big one. This is where I will be. It is Cajon traveling. Or actually, not so far because they're also IDs. But Cajon and Marietta Valley.
Cajon's only allowed 10 points this season. You know, last year they're known for their high-powered offense with Jaden Daniels throwing to Darren Jones and some of those other weapons he had. You know, Jaden Daniels was solid last week, 9 of 15, 263 yards, 4 touchdowns. Every other completion basically was a touchdown. But their only loss during the regular season last year was to Marietta Valley, 49-46 early in the season. In that game, Darren Jones was mentioned, had 6 catches for 241 yards and 4 touchdowns. Marietta Valley, you know, won that game behind Jordan Murray, who had 34 carries, 188 yards, 2 Ds. But now he's, you know, out being split out a little bit more. He had 10 catches, 108 yards last week's loss. Hank Bachmeyer, he threw for 4 touchdowns last year. It's going to be up to him to try to lead this team. You know, he doesn't have as many weapons on the outside as he had last year without Marquise Spiker. So I've actually got Cajon. I think that defense is playing a little bit better. And I think just with the Marietta Valley not having Spiker and some of those other weapons, I think that it's going to be a little bit tougher for them to keep up with that Cajon offense.
Yeah, I've got Cajon as well. I think Marietta Valley is a good team. I was going to mention Jordan Murray as well. Hank Bachmeyer also ran for a few touchdowns in their first game. But, again, he doesn't have the weapons he had last year. I still think they're a good team, but Cajon's in the top 10 for a reason. Cajon's been really impressive so far this season. Jaden Daniels on the year, 490 yards and 8 touchdowns, Last week, the Cajon defense forced 3 fumbles and had an interception. So that's just a turnover waiting to happen whenever the defense is on the field. So I've got Cajon. Those are our game picks. We've got all of our reports from the reporters. We have our top 10. Shotgun, anything else you want to add?
I'm just excited about another week of games. You know, it's so much fun to go out and watch some high school games on a Friday night. You know, it makes a great start of the weekend.
All right, that is it. We will see you next week. Make sure to follow along with all those games on the Fox Sports Go app. Watch the TV show at 7, then watch that 7:30 football game. It's Cajon and Marietta Valley. Should be a good one. Should be entertaining. A lot of Division I talent on the field. We'll see you next time.